Hey everybody, welcome back for another video. My name is Logan with Driftless Cards and Games, and today, whether you're a sealed Pokemon collector, a traditional singles Pokemon collector, or even an online reseller, myself, I'm kinda all of the above. I'd like to talk to you about some storage tips. And this might be a little bit of an obvious video for some who've been in the hobby for a while, but I know people get into this every day, and even if you're not, there's bound to be something in here that you probably haven't thought of that would behoove you as far as your Pokemon storage goes. So, I'm going to give you 5 tips today in this video, 5 points of consideration as far as how to store and access your specifically sealed Pokemon collection or investments. My first piece of advice would be to know where you put things. That might sound obvious, but it's easier said than done, especially when space is a little bit of a hot commodity for a lot of people, especially if you're storing in the basement, you're storing in a closet. You definitely don't want to misplace something or forget what's in a particular box. It's always important to know where you have things. If it's got a label that's specifically from the Pokemon Company or something, if it's a case where you can tell what's in the box, that's great. Otherwise, just write yourself a little post-it note. Go ahead, slap it on the box, something. Post-it notes are prone to fall off, of course, so if it's in a higher traffic area, maybe a piece of masking tape or something that would help to identify what's in the box. Now, my second piece of advice is to keep your sealed. And again, that sounds easier said than done, that sounds obvious, but sometimes accidents happen. I'm not talking about impulsively ripping open product. I'm talking about either not knowing what's in a box, so you end up accidentally opening a sealed box, or something along those lines. So in this case, here I've got a sealed case of Mega Evolution. I went ahead and just made a label for it where I explicitly called out that it is sealed, and I'm going to put it right here. Now, I'm fortunate enough to have a low traffic area where I know that post-it note isn't likely to fall off, but if it was, I would recommend just a piece of maybe painter's tape or masking tape, something to label onto so that you know for reminding yourself a year, 2 years, 5 years in the future, oh yeah, this is sealed. I don't want to open that box right now. Maybe later you decide you want to rip it open with your family, your friends, on a live stream, but you definitely don't want to deprive yourself of the opportunity accidentally opening up a sealed box. The third tip that I would say, besides just simply knowing where you're storing things, is to store as much as you can, like with like. And what I mean by that, as you can see here, all of these boxes look generally the same. That's because what's in them is generally the same. These are Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes. If I was able to, say, pick up a couple, I opened it, have one for my immediate collection display, and the rest are in here sealed. So it's never a question really if I'm looking for a particular thing. Think about going to the library. There's a system of organization for it. It will help you later to be organized now. It doesn't have to be fancy, but simply storing like with like is a really good way of differentiating as well. These are all Scarlet and Violet era. Sword and Shield area is on the other side of our storage room. I've got Sun and Moon, X and Y era over yonder. Depending if you have multiple storage locations, depending on value or depending on type. So that's always something to bear in mind too, is what you're putting together. Don't just throw miscellaneous things together unless it benefits you for some reason to do that. If you've got a particular bundle that you picked up together that you want to keep together or something along those lines. Now, my fourth tip would be to be careful of the weight of a lot of this stored product. Now, granted, these shelves are honestly a little bit far apart in spacing, more than they would need to be. I could better utilize this space if these weren't built-in shelves, but if you don't have shelving, or if you're using plastic shelving, or, a metal closet bar, just be careful depending on how much weight. If you've got sealed cases of booster boxes, that's very dense cardboard. They're very heavy to store on potentially unstable or weak shelves. So just be mindful of the weight of everything. A lot of times if you're picking up new plastic shelving, you're generally going to be fine. But something else to bear in mind too is if you're stacking boxes on top of boxes on top of boxes, there's structural integrity to bear in mind there too. You want to try to line up the edges, maybe alternate directions if you can envision a pallet. Have you ever seen a pallet being unboxed? Not necessarily of Pokemon, but of anything. They try to kind of alternate like a Jenga tower. Horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical. Do whatever you can to make sure that you're not crushing what's inside of a bottom box, and not to go so many too high based on what you've got. Or to put some sealed Pokemon boxes and then put a giant, Rubbermaid tote of something heavy, Christmas decorations or something, on top of it that's going to crush what's below. It's a little bit difficult sometimes because you want to keep some of this out of sight, out of mind. Save it for a future year, save it as an investment, whatever your motive, but you don't want to risk it getting damaged in the process. And I would say probably my last piece of advice, if you've stuck around this long, would be to be mindful as well of the environment that you're storing it in. I wouldn't want to necessarily put product in a damp basement or in a hot attic or something like that. These are shiny cardboard. At the end of the day, yes, there's a element of cardboard and plastic wrap and things that are around it, but you definitely want to be wary of the environment that you're storing it in. Humidity is terrible for trading cards. Have a dehumidifier nearby. Have a fan in the room. Definitely don't put it somewhere if you wouldn't want to put, important paperwork or, something else that you would want to keep, books or clothes. If it's in an environment that would damage some of those types of things, you definitely wouldn't want to put cards there, even sealed cards or things of that nature. Garages can be tough if they're not heated properly, or again, if they get too humid, get vehicles coming in, water dripping off. Very important as well, don't set anything directly on the ground. You never know when a pipe could burst. You never know when you could get just a little bit of, water coming up in the foundation. In the Midwest here, we deal with a lot of cold winters. We deal with a lot of frozen type situations. I have nothing on the ground directly. Doesn't hurt to just stack it up on, make a little base, whether it's a shelving unit or not. I've even got a couple areas where I just have some things stacked on top of some old bricks that were laying around, or some old pavers or something, just to, again, to get it up off the ground. I have seen as well, some people, if you buy the multiple tiered plastic shelves, definitely don't try to parse that out too far where you're still putting product on the ground. It's designed to have a bottom shelf for a reason. That's going to protect you against a lot of things, against a lot of water or other type situations. So with that said, I appreciate you kind of sticking around, taking advantage of some of these tips or pieces of advice in terms of sealed product storage. I can't wait to bring you some more tips. I would love it as a growing channel here. Please like and subscribe to the video if you wouldn't mind. I would also love a comment down below with any kind of feedback or suggestion for future content. I would love to share with you any of my collection journey, any more, sealed tips or advice, as well as any online reseller type content as well. I'll be bringing you all of the above in this collection and business centric channel. Thanks very much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.